Welcome back to the channel, where we explore fascinating coins from around the world and share the secrets that make them special. Today, we're diving into a true classic from down under, the 1992 Australian $2 coin, and we're talking specifically about one that's in very fine condition and what it's worth in today's market. Australia's $2 coin is a coin that almost every collector ends up coming across, but the 1992 release holds a special place in both history and collectors' hearts. This was only a few years after the transition from the old $2 note to the coin version, which first entered circulation in 1988. The 1992 design features the familiar round shape with a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse and Australia's iconic Aboriginal elder motif on the reverse. It was part of a series that helped define modern Australian coinage and is a beautiful carry-on of one of the nation's most recognizable denominations. The coin itself is truly a piece of metallurgical art. Standard circulating 1992 $2 coins are struck in an aluminium-bronze alloy, giving them a warm golden color that contrasts with many other world coins. This composition isn't just about aesthetics. It provides durability for everyday handling, and that's why so many of these coins have survived in decent condition. The standard weight is around millimeter diameter, makes it a comfortable. Now let's talk about what very fine condition actually means. In numismatics, very fine indicates a coin that has seen some circulation, but still retains solid detail in the design. The lettering is crisp, the portrait is clear, and the surfaces show only moderate wear. It's not mint state, but it's far above your everyday pocket-worn change. That's part of what makes a 1992 Australian $2 coin in this condition more interesting to collectors than one that's heavily worn. Even though these coins were produced in the millions with about 15.5 million minted that year, there is still a steady collector demand for pieces that look great, especially those that date from the early years of the series. Collectors love coins with a bit of history and character, and a 1992 coin in very fine condition fits that bill. While it doesn't have the rarity of some year sets or era coins, it's still a classic that many people enjoy adding to their albums simply because it represents the evolution of. So, what is a 1992 Australian $2 coin in very fine condition worth today? If you're scanning listings on popular collector sites or auction boards, you'll notice that most circulated examples, including some that might be graded VF or better, tend to trade for a modest premium over typical sales for circulated coins are often around a few dollars to maybe $1.20 thousand, $1.50 zero, depending on the marketplace and There are some outliers out there, for example. Some sellers list rare, high-grade, uncirculated versions for higher prices, and very special variants or graded pieces can fetch more. On sites like eBay, you may even see listings where sellers ask for far more, but remember that asking price and true selling price are often very different. What really matters is what buyers are willing to pay, and for a very fine 1992 standard $2 coin with no extraordinary features, expect it to sell modestly above its face value if the market is healthy. If you're a collector watching this and wondering how to make the most of your coins, here are a few friendly tips. First, always examine your coins carefully. Under good light, sometimes surface quality or subtle details can mean the difference between just a coin and a piece worth a bit more. Second, keep them safe if they're in good condition. Use flips, capsules, or albums to prevent further wear. And always compare prices across different marketplaces, online shops, auction sites, and coin forms can all help you gauge fair value. Finally, don't be afraid to talk to fellow collectors. Their passion and knowledge can be an amazing resource as you build your. All in all, the 1992 Australian $2 coin, especially when it's in very fine condition, is a wonderful representative of modern coinage. It's affordable, historically meaningful, and a great conversation starter in any collection. Whether you're just getting into collecting or you've been around for a while, this coin reminds us all that every coin has a story, and sometimes those stories are worth more than the metal they're made from. Next up, today we're diving into a coin that most of us have probably seen jingling in our wallets or jars at home, the Australian $2 coin from 2010. If you've ever wondered what makes this coin interesting to collectors, what it's made of, how its value has changed, and what it might be worth today, you're in the right place. Let's start with a bit of history. The Australian $2 coin has been the highest denomination circulating coin since it was introduced in 1988, replacing the old $2 banknote because coins last much longer in use and are more economical for the Reserve Bank of Australia to produce. The 2010 version was minted in Canberra and features the classic design Australians are familiar with: Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse, and on the reverse, a beautiful portrayal of an Aboriginal elder, the Southern Cross constellation, and a grass tree. Now let's talk about the condition, and this is where things get interesting. You asked specifically about a very fine condition coin. In coin collecting terms, very fine means the coin has clearly seen some life in circulation, but still retains much of its original detail. The surfaces show some signs of gentle wear, but the key design elements are sharp and clear. In the world of coin collecting, that's a happy place to be. It's not rare like an uncirculated proof, but it's far nicer than something worn nearly smooth from years of spending. When it comes to composition and physical characteristics, this Australian $2 coin is made of a durable aluminium-bronze alloy, which means it's primarily copper with small amounts of aluminium and nickel blended in. Diameter, and has a segmented edge that helps deter counterfeiting. That golden-looking finish and solid feel in your hand is all part of what makes this coin so recognizable and enduring. Let's talk about collector demand. For the average 2010 Australian $2 coin, this isn't typically a year that's considered rare. With a circulation mintage of around 36.5 million coins, there are plenty of them out there. As a result, many collectors treat these as fun, everyday pieces to include in Australian decimal collections, especially when they're in nicer grades like uncirculated or very fine. They're great coins for beginners or anyone who just loves the look of classic Australian coinage. So then, what about the current market value in US dollars today? For most standard 2010 Australian 2 coins in very fine condition, not mint set, not a special proof, just a solid example, the market generally reflects modest premiums over face value. Looking at average prices where these coins have sold, many listings show somewhere around AU5 to AU8 on platforms like online auctions or coin dealer listings for nicer circulated examples. Convert that into US dollars, and you're often looking at roughly around $1.30, 0 to $1.40, 0 USD in today's market. That of about $1.50, 0 USD, but not high enough to call it truly rare. What that tells you is that these coins are still collectible, but not scarce in standard grades. There are exceptions, of course. If you ever find a 2010 Australian $2 with an unusual mint error, for example, strange toning, off-center strikes, or unique coloration, some listings show those can go for noticeably more. There's even a known variety of 2010 Australian 2 listed with a so-called black ring error that has traded for around AU47 on collector markets. Those kinds of pieces are eyes-open surprises and fun stories for your... Now for tips. If you're a collector or thinking of selling, always handle coins gently and avoid cleaning them, because cleaning can damage surfaces and lower their value. If you're curious about grading, look into using a protective flip or holder and study the various collector standards like fine, very fine, extremely fine, and uncirculated. Coins in higher grades typically fetch better prices. And if your coin has something unusual about it, whether that's an error, a proof strike, or special packaging, it's worth getting a second opinion from a trusted dealer or numismatics community. Collectors often say that coins are worth what someone is willing to pay, and that's true, so build your collection because you love the history, the artistry, and the stories behind these metal pieces, and the value becomes just one part of that joy. To wrap up, the 2010 Australian $2 coin in very fine condition is a wonderful piece of modern numismatics. It tells a story of Australian currency, craftsmanship, and everyday use. And while it may not be extremely valuable in monetary terms, it's a great coin to own, to learn from, and to enjoy. Whether you keep doing deep dives into specific years or just collect the ones you love, there's always something fascinating around every corner. Next up, today we're diving into a fascinating piece of Australian currency, the Australia $2 coin from 2001 in very fine condition, and exploring what makes it special, why collectors want it, and how much it's worth today in dollars. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just curious about coins, you're in the right place. So sit back, relax, and let's take a journey into the world of numismatics. The story of the 2001 Australian $2 coin begins with the rich history of decimal currency in Australia. First introduced in 1988, the $2 denomination replaced paper notes and quickly became one of the most iconic coins in everyday Australian life. By the time the year 2001 rolled around, the Australian $2 coin was more than a piece of change. It was a symbol of a young nation's pride in its culture and economy. A coin's value often starts with its physical condition, and the term very fine tells an important part of the story. When collectors use the phrase very fine condition, they're describing a coin that shows light wear from circulation but still retains most of its original design details sharply. On a 2001 Australian $2 coin, this means the vibrant copper nickel and aluminum bronze alloy still reflects the bold imagery on both sides. In very fine condition, the coin's surface will have minimal scratches, well-preserved edges, and clearly visible lettering, a testament to the care it has received over the years. It's the kind of coin that feels weighty in your hand and sparks curiosity about the hands it's passed through over 2 decades. Let's take a closer look at the background and composition of this coin, because it plays a big role in its appeal. The Australian $2 coin has a distinct design that's instantly recognizable. On the obverse side, we see the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, honoring Australia's ties to the Commonwealth. On the reverse, there's the famous Aboriginal elder design created by Horst Hahn, a dynamic image of the Southern Cross, a ubiquitous symbol of the Southern Hemisphere night sky. The $2 piece is made of aluminum bronze, giving it a rich golden tone that makes it stand out among other circulating coins. Collectors don't just collect coins because they look nice. They collect them because of the stories they tell and the rarity they represent. The demand for the 2001 Australian $2 coin, especially in very fine condition, has steadily grown thanks to a combination of its age, design, and the fact that not all coins from that year remain in collectible condition. While millions of these coins were minted for everyday use, only a fraction have survived with minimal wear, making well-preserved examples desirable to both new and seasoned collectors alike. For many, adding a 2001 Australian $2 coin in very fine condition to a collection feels like owning a small piece of Australian history. Now let's talk about everyone's favorite topic, current market value in dollars. While any coin's value can fluctuate based on demand, condition, and market trends, the 2001 Australian $2 coin in very fine condition often fetches a premium above its. In today's market, these coins are generally valued between a $1.50, $0, and around $1.60, $0, depending on the buyer and the exact condition. Some listings, especially from reputable dealers or collectible auctions, may price them slightly higher, reflecting their appeal to collectors who want quality examples for their collections. This means that a coin you've had in your drawer for years could be worth more than its original spending power. A delightful surprise for any coin enthusiast. If you're thinking about collecting coins like the 2001 Australian $2, there are a few tips that can help you build a strong and satisfying collection. First, always educate yourself on coin grading standards. Knowing the difference between good, very fine, and uncirculated conditions can make a huge difference when buying or selling. Second, always handle your coins with care. Hold them by the edges, store them in protective sleeves or albums, and keep them away from moisture and extreme temperatures. Third, connect with fellow collectors. Coin clubs, online forums, and local shows are great places to learn, trade, and discover new pieces that excite you. And finally, trust your instincts. If a coin speaks to you, there's joy in collecting what you personally appreciate. As we wrap up, it's clear that the 2001 Australian $2 coin in very fine condition is more than just a piece of metal. It's a small artifact of history, a symbol of artistic design, and a sought-after collectible that continues to spark interest around the world. Whether you're just discovering your love of coins or you're deep into the hobby, this coin has something to offer: beauty, history, and potential value. Thanks for joining me today, and if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more numismatic insights. Until next time, happy. Next up, today we're diving into something really cool, a fascinating piece of numismatic history that's found its way into pockets and collections around the world. The 1988 Australian $2 coin in very fine condition. If you've come across one of these in your change jar or coin album, you're definitely in the right place. We're going to explore its history, what it's made of, why collectors love it, and most importantly, what it's worth today. So grab a coffee, sit back, and let's get into it. The story of the Australian $2 coin begins in 1988 Ampere's year that marked a big change in Australia's currency system. Before this, Australians used a $2 banknote, but as coins tend to last much longer and stand up to daily use more effectively, the Reserve Bank of Australia introduced the $2 coin to replace the note. This coin was part of a broader modernization of Australia's decimal currency system, and it quickly became a staple in everyday transactions. The 1988 design features Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse, the side we all recognize, along with her name and the date, 1988. The very first year this denomination was struck for circulation. When we talk about the coin being in very fine condition, that means the coin has seen some circulation where gentle rubbing on the high points, a few small contact marks. But the major design details are still clear, and the coin retains a lot of its original form. It's a condition that's attractive to both hobby collectors and history lovers alike. Now let's get to collector interest. The 1988 Australian $2 coin is special, simply because it's the very first year this denomination was released. That alone gives it a solid place in Australian numismatic history. There's a strong demand among people who collect date sets of coins, world currency enthusiasts, and anyone who enjoys coins with cultural significance. In collector circles, you'll sometimes see people talking about versions of this coin with designer initials, often H for Horst Hahn, who designed the reverse side of the coin. While some listings online might make big claims about rarity or massive values tied to those initials, experienced collectors generally agree that the 1988 Australian 2 in circulation strikes even with HH are common and were produced in the millions. So what is the market value today of a 1988 Australian $2 coin in very fine condition? If you're buying or selling on platforms like eBay or through coin dealers, the realistic range for a circulated 1988 Australian 2 in nice condition is around $1.30, 0 to $1.40, 0 AUD, which translates to roughly about $2.30, 0 to $2.50, 0 USD at current exchange rates. If you're new to coin collecting or just getting into Australian coins, here are a few positive pointers. First, always handle coins. Gently oils from fingers can affect their appearance, so consider using soft gloves or holding by the edges. Store coins in a cool, dry place, ideally in protective holders or albums that keep them safe from scratches and environmental damage. Second, learn the grading system. Knowing what counts as very fine, extremely fine, or uncirculated will go a long way in helping you assess your own coins and understand marketplace values. So, there you have it. The 1988 Australian $2 coin is a wonderful piece of history, beautifully designed, richly symbolic, and a great addition to any collection. While a typical, very fine example might only be worth a few dollars above face value today, its real value lies in the story it tells and the joy it brings to collectors around the world.